Manchester United supporters, this is one of the biggest talking points surrounding the club right now, because according to multiple reports, Elisabeth Terland is set to leave Manchester United at the expiration of her contract after talks over a new deal stalled behind the scenes. And honestly, this one hurts. Before we get deep into the numbers, the tactics, the possible reasons behind the breakdown in negotiations, and what this means for Manchester United moving forward. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because this channel is bringing you daily Manchester United women news, tactical breakdowns, transfer updates, player analysis, match previews, and everything surrounding the club. We are building one of the biggest Manchester United women communities on the platform, and you do not want to miss what is coming next. When Elisabeth Terland arrived at Manchester United, many supporters saw a striker with potential, a hard worker, a physically dominant forward capable of bullying defenders, pressing aggressively and giving the attack a completely different dimension. What many did not expect was how quickly she would become one of the most important tactical pieces in Mark Skinner's system. And now, with reports suggesting she could walk away for free when her contract expires, Manchester United could be facing one of the most painful exits of the modern era for the women's team. Let us start with the raw numbers, because they tell an incredible story. In the 2025 and 2026 Women's Super League season, Elisabeth Terland has scored 6 goals and registered 2 assists in just 18 matches while starting 13 games. She has played 963 minutes and maintained a solid 7.00 average rating throughout the campaign. Those numbers alone already place her among the most productive forwards in the league, but statistics only tell half the story. What makes Terland special is the way she transforms the entire structure of Manchester United's attack. She is not simply a striker waiting inside the box. She is a pressing machine, a physical presence, an aerial threat, a transitional outlet, and a psychological nightmare for defenders. At 171 centimeters tall, Terland does not look like the traditional dominant aerial striker at first glance, but once the game starts, you immediately understand why defenders struggle against her. Her timing in the air is exceptional. Her aggression in attacking crosses is relentless. And her ability to win first contacts completely changes the way Manchester United build attacks. She has won 28 aerial duels this season with a success rate close to 48%, placing her among the strongest forwards in the league when competing physically. This is massive for Manchester United because the team has increasingly become one of the most dangerous transition sides in the league. When the defenders or midfielders need an outlet under pressure, Terland becomes that release valve. And then you look at her shooting profile. 42 shots this season, 26 of them on target. That is an elite accuracy level. Her expected goals stands at 6.46, while her expected goals on target rises to 7.94, showing that when she hits the target, she is generating extremely dangerous chances. This is not a striker wasting opportunities every weekend. This is a striker consistently producing high-quality finishing positions and forcing goalkeepers into impossible situations. One of the biggest reasons supporters have connected so deeply with Terland is her mentality on the pitch. You can see the hunger in every single action. She presses center-backs like her life depends on it. She chases lost causes. She forces rushed clearances. She turns simple defensive moments into chaos for the opposition. Modern football demands intensity from forwards, and Terland embodies that completely. There are strikers who score goals, but disappear when the team loses possession. Terland is not one of them. Her defensive contribution statistics prove this. 23 defensive contributions this season. 13 tackles from a striker position. 10 possessions won in the final third. These are ridiculous numbers for a forward. And this is where the conversation becomes painful for Manchester United supporters, because replacing goals is difficult enough. Replacing a tactical identity is even harder. Terland is not just contributing numbers. She is contributing structure. She is contributing energy. She is contributing fear into opposition defenses. When defenders know Terland is pressing them, they panic. They rush passes. They clear balls aimlessly. That creates opportunities for players like Jess Park, Julia Zigiati-Alm, and Melvin Mallet to attack second balls and transitional spaces. The chemistry she has developed with the attacking unit has become one of the foundations of Manchester United's resurgence. Look at how the front line functions when she plays. The wingers become more dangerous because Terland occupies central defenders. The midfielders arrive later into the box because Terland pins the defensive line deeper. The entire shape of the opposition changes because of her presence. And then there is the Champions League. In Europe, where intensity rises and space disappears, Terland still delivered. 1 goal in 5 matches may not look explosive on paper, but again the deeper analysis matters. She played 311 minutes, started 4 games, and remained a critical physical presence in European ties. Her movement off the ball consistently opened spaces for teammates. Her pressing disrupted elite build-up structures. And perhaps most importantly, she gave Manchester United a genuine focal point against top-level defenders. You could see it especially in matches where United had to absorb pressure. Terland's hold-up play allowed the team to breathe. Without her, Manchester United might have struggled far more against physically dominant European sides. Her ability to receive under pressure and battle defenders created moments for the midfield to push higher up the pitch. Now the biggest question becomes simple. Why are contract talks collapsing? Reports suggest Terland rejected a new deal back in November despite wanting to remain at the club. That detail is extremely important because it changes the narrative completely. This does not sound like a player desperate to leave. It sounds like a player who possibly feels undervalued, uncertain about the long-term sporting project, or unconvinced by the financial proposal placed in front of her. And Manchester United supporters have every reason to worry because elite forwards across Europe are in extremely high demand right now. Clubs are desperately searching for physically dominant strikers capable of pressing aggressively while still delivering goals. Terland fits that profile perfectly. She is 24 years old. She is entering her prime. She has proven herself in England. She has European experience. She has international pedigree with Norway. She has versatility because she can also operate as an attacking midfielder when required. Players like that do not stay available for long. You can already imagine the clubs monitoring this situation carefully. Clubs in Germany would absolutely love her physical style. Clubs in France would value her pressing ability. Clubs in the WSL would likely see her as a complete modern striker. And even rivals within England could potentially explore the situation if she becomes available for free. That is what makes this situation dangerous for Manchester United. Losing Terland for free would not simply weaken the squad. It would strengthen a potential rival. And in a league where margins are already tiny between the top clubs, that could become catastrophic. Supporters are also beginning to ask deeper questions about the direction of the club. Why are contract situations becoming recurring problems? Why are key players entering uncertain situations? Why are negotiations stalling? These questions matter because elite players want clarity. They want ambition. They want to know the project is moving forward aggressively. And honestly, if you are Elisabeth Terland, you are probably looking around Europe and seeing clubs investing heavily. Chelsea continues strengthening. Arsenal remain aggressive in the market. Barcelona dominate Europe. Lyon are rebuilding again. Manchester City continues spending. So from a player perspective, she likely wants guarantees that Manchester United are prepared to compete consistently at the very highest level. This is where the emotional side enters the conversation because supporters have genuinely fallen in love with her style of football. She represents intensity. She represents fight. She represents hunger. In modern football, where some forwards become obsessed with aesthetics and individual branding, Terland feels old school in the best possible way. She battles. She competes. She sacrifices for the team. You see it every weekend. Even when she is not scoring, she is exhausting defenders mentally and physically. By the final 30 minutes of matches, center backs look drained trying to handle her constant movement and aggression. That is one of the hidden reasons Manchester United have become such a dangerous second-half team. Terland helps wear opponents down. Imagine losing that dynamic entirely. And then you look at the bigger tactical implications. If Terland leaves, Manchester United suddenly need a completely different type of striker profile. You cannot simply replace her with a technically gifted poacher and expect the same system to work. The entire pressing structure would need adjustments. The transitional patterns would change. The aerial threat would drop significantly. The emotional intensity of the attack would shift. That is why replacing her becomes far more difficult than replacing statistics. You also have to appreciate her mentality during difficult periods. Even when Manchester United performances dipped at times this season, Terland continued working relentlessly. She never looked disconnected from the team. She never stopped pressing. She never stopped fighting for loose balls. Those details matter massively inside dressing rooms. Teammates notice players who sacrifice themselves for the collective. Coaches trust players who maintain intensity regardless of form. Fans connect deeply with players who leave everything on the pitch. Terland checks every single one of those boxes. There is also the reality that her numbers could easily have been even better this season. Manchester United have missed several big chances created by her pressing. Multiple opportunities generated through her movement have not been converted. Her expected assist numbers show she is creating danger beyond just finishing. 2 assists may not look extraordinary, but the underlying creativity is stronger than the raw total suggests. And remember this. She is doing all this while still only being 24 years old. That is terrifying for the rest of Europe because forwards usually enter their absolute peak between 25 and 29, meaning Terland may not even have reached her final form yet. The idea of losing her just before her prime years fully explode is exactly why supporters are frustrated right now. Now let us talk about the emotional connection between player and supporters, because this matters more than people realize. Old Trafford supporters respect hard work above everything else. They can forgive missed chances. They can forgive mistakes. But they demand effort, fight, and commitment. Terland delivers those qualities every single game. You can hear it in the crowd reactions. Every press, every aerial duel, every recovery sprint gets appreciated because supporters recognize the sacrifice. She plays with visible passion. That energy becomes contagious across the squad. When you compare Manchester United's intensity levels with and without her, the difference becomes obvious. The front line looks more aggressive. The press becomes more synchronized. The midfield gains confidence pushing higher because they trust Terland to initiate defensive pressure properly. And then there is the psychological fear factor. Defenders hate facing strikers who never stop moving. They hate physical duels. They hate aggressive pressing. They hate forwards who attack crosses relentlessly. Terland combines all of that together. Some forwards intimidate defenders technically. Others intimidate physically. Terland does both in different phases of the game. If she ultimately leaves, Manchester United fans will always wonder whether more could have been done to keep her. Was the contract structure wrong? Were negotiations delayed too long? Was there hesitation internally about committing financially? Those questions would remain permanently attached to the story. Because when you look at her trajectory, she feels like the exact profile Manchester United should be building around. Young enough to grow, experienced enough to contribute immediately, mentally tough enough for pressure situations, physically suited for elite football, tactically adaptable. Everything about her profile screams long-term asset. There is also an important cultural factor here. Scandinavian players often bring incredible professionalism into dressing rooms. Discipline, tactical intelligence, physical preparation, team-first mentality. Manchester United's recent Swedish and Nordic influence has transformed the mentality of the squad in many ways. Terland fits perfectly within that evolving culture, and supporters recognize it immediately. There is a seriousness to her game, a focus, a determination. She looks like someone obsessed with improvement. That is why seeing reports about a potential exit creates genuine anxiety among fans. The timing is also difficult because Manchester United are entering a critical phase as a club. Expectations are rising. European ambitions are growing. Rival clubs are strengthening aggressively. This is exactly the moment where stability matters most. Losing key contributors during this phase could destabilize momentum. Now, of course, football is complicated. Contracts involve finances, project vision, personal ambitions, family considerations, and sporting guarantees. None of us know every detail behind closed doors. But from the outside looking in, it feels like a situation Manchester United desperately need to solve. Because if Terland leaves and immediately explodes somewhere else in Europe, the regret among supporters will be enormous. Imagine her thriving in Germany. Imagine her dominating in France. Imagine her leading another English rival to trophies. Manchester United fans do not even want to picture that scenario. And yet the possibility is becoming more real with every passing week. What makes Terland even more valuable is her versatility. Officially, she is categorized primarily as a striker, but she can also function as an attacking midfielder. That flexibility is crucial during long seasons filled with injuries and tactical adjustments. Coaches love players who allow systems to evolve without sacrificing balance. Terland gives Manchester United tactical freedom. She can operate as a lone forward. She can play in a two-striker setup. She can drop deeper during transitions. She can press wide channels. She can attack crosses centrally. Few forwards combine that many traits effectively. And this is why elite clubs are always searching for profiles like hers. The deeper you analyze her game, the more complete she appears. Her touch percentage may not look elite compared to possession-heavy technical forwards, but that is partly because her role is different. She is constantly occupying dangerous areas, constantly battling defenders, constantly making sacrificial runs. Her 78 touches inside the opposition box tell you exactly where she operates. She lives inside dangerous territory. That instinct cannot be coached easily. Natural penalty box aggression separates elite strikers from average ones. Terland has that killer instinct. She attacks space with conviction. She anticipates rebounds quickly. She reacts faster than defenders. Those details create goals. And remember, her goals are coming while Manchester United are still evolving tactically. Imagine her numbers in a fully stable elite attacking system with even greater service quality. The ceiling becomes frightening. Supporters now wait anxiously for updates because hope still exists. Contract talks can restart. Negotiations can change quickly in football. New agreements can emerge unexpectedly. But the longer uncertainty continues, the more dangerous the situation becomes. Rival clubs will monitor everything closely. Agents will receive calls. Opportunities will emerge. That is why Manchester United supporters desperately want clarity soon. Because Elisabeth Terland is not just another player in the squad. She has become one of the emotional engines of this team. One of the tactical foundations of this attack. One of the most physically demanding forwards in the league. One of the most aggressive pressers in England. One of the most underrated strikers in Europe. And possibly one of the biggest contract priorities Manchester United currently face. So now the question goes directly to you. If Manchester United failed to agree a new contract with Elisabeth Terland, how big of a loss would this be for the club? Should Manchester United break the bank to keep her? Or should the club cash in now before risking losing her for free? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments, because this debate is only going to get bigger in the coming weeks. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and turn on notifications because we are bringing you more Manchester United women transfer news, tactical analysis, player breakdowns, and exclusive discussions throughout the season.